Okay, so today I'm going to react to, yet again, second part of He's Just Not That Into You from 35 minutes, starting at 5 minutes into the stream. This is maybe the best way I can keep track of the timestamp. And so it'll be 35 on the nose. It's the YouTube version, right? And we're right at the part where the girl, I forget, I'm bad with names sometimes when I'm watching something for the first time, but the girl who's a little obsessive is finally standing up for herself and kind of learning how to be direct with the guy. Like, oh, why don't we say you'll call me, and skip all the nonsense she's about to say that. So again, 35 minutes in, we'll wait till 5 minutes on the stream. I don't know if my timer on the stream is the same as yours, but I'll also announce when I want to do it, like when I'm starting, but it was pretty good so far, but it's kind of like, you know, you always heard the credibility of something like, oh, it's Jennifer Aniston that you're going to cheat on or you don't want to marry or whatever. But I do like his stance on that, like how he doesn't believe in marriage and he thinks it's just a construct or kind of, you know, which it is, right? If you're happy, why does it matter if you're married or not, right? Why is that? That's more a social thing. So you realize a lot of human behavior is engineered through other people, right? And that's less credible. So it's almost like when you say, how can so many people be wrong if so many people do something? It's actually kind of the opposite. Whenever something is done uniformly, you know it's being controlled, because naturally, if people had the freedom to do anything they wanted, there wouldn't be a uniform response. People would do variable things. They would do different things because it's not a one-size-fits-all, right? So whenever something does seem to be a one-size-fits-all, that's actually what it indicates. So how can so many people be wrong? That's actually how they're wrong, because they're pressured. It's peer pressure, it's social contrivance, right? It's social engineering. And you can look at human history to see that, the stigma effect that I talk about in my Absolutist Philosophy series. Like, oh, how did World War II Germany end up the way it was? How did, you know, Genghis Khan or whatever, like point to anybody in history. How did they do what they did? And the way that you see that is, right, that people mindlessly, blindly follow them and all these things, you know, even China right now. So it's not hard to control people, it's not hard to train people like animals. So like, that doesn't validate something, and again, it almost hurts it, because you could do what you're doing right now, but the likelihood you would do that exact thing without the social contrivance, reinforcement, re-engineering is unlikely. So we're gonna start for 35 minutes. As soon as it hits 5 minutes in about 40 seconds, and I might have to rent it again, because I think after this session, I'm not gonna, whatever, like, it'll run out, because it's been like 2 days and whatever, but we're gonna start in about 20 seconds. Hopefully it doesn't lag or anything. We're starting from 35 minutes to 00. YouTube version, He's Just Not That Into You, in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Goodbye. He's saying goodbye. He said no and left, and then she tears up his number. But no, it's like, that's what social contrivance shows you, is you kind of establish these thought processes as you talk, but if you do it in the mind, you can do that infinitely, whereas the social level is much more limited. You're kind of relying on other people for value or validation, externality, as I call it. So she's trying to be more, she's mindlessly echoing the advice of another because she can't think for herself. There's a lot of female privilege that ruins society too, like, you expect some sort of privilege and everything's about sex and you overextend and project and stimulate me, right? You definitely see the limits of that. So ruled by it, you would overextend. Blade. I prefer the 2003 Wesley Snipes movie myself. I don't know if that's even what it is, but every interaction between a man failed the vegetal test. Like, every interaction between a man and a woman is sexual and whatever. Yeah, let's every possible scenario except MySpace. Now you know you're watching an old fucking movie. Don't you know everybody's on Facebook these days, girl? MySpace is the new booty call. And that's like a good fictional thing to understand. Like, these things won't age well. Like, oh, who cares? 100 years from now, we watch this movie and like, MySpace, what's that? But it represents the same thing. Like, oh, we're using a letter, we're using mail, right? You make it ubiquitous, but it's the same kind of process at work. There's like some sort of weird love box that we have going on, like where everybody is into somebody else. Yeah, just use Craigslist personals now, haha. Using your sexual charm to get do business. Like, what a great privilege, non-accountable privilege, overextended, but blame the simp man who ruined society that way too. The stimuli acme is strong. Yeah, that hurts the credibility sometimes of these stories. Like, would Ross really end up with a chick like Jennifer Aniston, or would, this dude really cuck it up? She seems to be handling it pretty well, though. They broke up over the non-marriage thing, and she seems to be fine now. Rub it in her face. That's what they do when they're in love. They get married. They keep saying things that stick to her. Like, they keep doing that without meaning to. They say something bad about it. It seems absurd that you would break up. You're together for 7 years. The guy doesn't want to marry you. And it seems like you haven't talked about this much. It seemed like it was coming up as a thing. But yeah, like, you could say that's somewhat true. I even like that comes up in the story. Like, she's a waitress. Like, oh, she's just a waitress. That's why she'll end up with a professor who wrote a book, Ross. Like, but like, you got to question your judgment at this point. Like, you're with somebody for 7 years. Shouldn't you be more direct then? You want to get married, say it after 3 years, after 4 years. You kind of keep waiting. This is kind of the fallacy of human society. You keep waiting, you keep hoping, you keep trusting, you keep, whatever. But you don't hold it accountable, give benefit of doubt, and then one day you'll be disappointed. Like, oh, I was expecting something in return. I was expecting whatever. I don't know who this actress is, and it's driving me crazy. Like, I can't remember her name. Everything is flirtation. I mean, you could say that's the subject matter of the movie, but we've already seen one relationship get broken up, and now, like, oh, they might try to get back together, but it's going to be ruined. This chick is down bad. Sis is down bad. The blonde chick, whose name I don't know, both in the movie and in real life. And marriage is a prison that prevents you from anything else, and people don't have self-control. Why not establish the rules up front? Like, why not be direct? But people can't do that because they can't face the reality of what they're doing. Because self-awareness is the enemy, and it triggers cognitive dissonance that would prevent people from specifying an inherent process to a false absolute state, to limit it to one person. So they can't think about what they're doing, so they don't think about what they're doing. They try to overcompensate and bypass critical thinking, and then they wonder later why it's a conflict of contrivance. one expression I had was like, when you're together, he's resisting that temptation really well. Like, that woman is kind of the problem. Like, he's said it multiple times. The best thing to do here is, like, tell your wife, like, okay, we're not cheating, but I'm having these thoughts, and so why don't you talk to her and talk shit to her, and, like, you know, people want to be fooled. They want to give you benefit of doubt or whatever. I like Jennifer Connelly's demeanor in this. She seems like so, like, low-key and, like, shy and, like, kind of, I don't know, a little in her own head all the time, and kind of distinct, like, just her expressions kind of seem distincter. She seems always very worried or apprehensive or something. So she doesn't like when he smokes. At least he's buying the cheap stuff, the Native American reservation shit. But no, it's like, the fact that I'm with you, this is like an expression I've used. The fact that I'm with you doesn't mean I'm not attracted to other people, of course not. And then they'd be shocked, like, what? It means that I'm willing not to act on that for your sake. So that would be the point. It doesn't mean that you're not attracted to other people, it means you try not to act on that, but yeah, I lied about the pen. This dude could be the elitist victim blamer. The way that spell kind of triggers me in the subtitle, J-A-R-R-A-D. Did he put the phone on hold or did he just hang up? Oh, okay, he wants talking privacy. Imagine if you're like super self-aware of everything and direct and objective and everything. Then you wouldn't go along with the artificial privacy. You would constantly lie to yourself and others and censor reality. That's what social contrivance is. Right? Pretend we didn't have a language or we couldn't speak. People would still survive like they did in the past. But it's just a way to control people and pretend and overextend and ultimately be controlled yourself. No, say the line. Gigi, he's just not that into you. Just take off your shirt and then, that's a black shirt. Fuck it. Kind of dumb jokes that probably people would make in this kind of day and age, right? The word, you know, like in school, the way that people would use the G word, which isn't even necessarily an offensive word, but the way that that's a form of the stimuli too, how you're controlled, but I mean, you two are going to end up together. This is the perfect thing. Oh, this guy was helping me try to be my wingman, and then we ended up together. It's like, be aware of the nature of the process, right? It shouldn't be like some mysterious thing, like, oh, somehow we ended up together, and then somehow we broke up. So you're not really conscious of what's happening. You're kind of just, go along, go with the flow, because you concede to a non-value subversive state, instead of being deliberate and like, okay, I'm a horny animal, hedonistic, and I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm choosing it, and this guy's giving me kind of Keanu Reeves vibes a little bit. That's what we want to see. He's just not that into you, because then the two guys end up together. It's hard to keep track of all these characters though. Like, there's too many. Like, I don't care about some of these people. Give us a Jennifer Aniston. Give us the Jennifer Connelly. trying to make him a simp and a sub already. What the heck is her name? Like, she gives me Jennifer Lawrence vibes, but it's not Jennifer Lawrence. Her face is more chubby. Jennifer Lawrence catching strays in a movie that she's not have anything to do with. It felt like there was a period where everybody hated her, and she said like some things like, "Oh, I'm the legend," but yeah, let's try to play these mind games and reverse psychology and all this stuff. This is the problem. This is kind of what the absolutists wouldn't do. Like, if you want something, be direct. If not, don't. Do you swim? Now we'll just sit by the water and pretend like we just swam. Yes, you're not allowed to have friends because you're married. That's exactly how the stimuli acme works. How you sense the reality. And if you are friends, then be open about it. Tell your wife that you're friends. Those may be reasons why you can't be friends, but you're just horny, hedonistic animals trying to specify. But no, so you got to be more subtle about it, right? We don't want to acknowledge what we actually want, but yeah, what could possibly go wrong? But you'd be direct about it. And it's kind of like what you understand is the fact that I don't know. Oh, my timestamp fucked up. Okay, we'll just stop there. That's good enough. I don't know. It's kind of hard to do this. But whatever. They're at the pool and they're kind of whatever. They'll have like a romance scene. There's kind of like this tongue-in-cheek thing, but there's a lot of financial incentive. Like, let's analyze like female privilege, for example. The fact that a lot of expectation. Let's analyze first of all how society grooms young women, right? Because it's society's sick sexualization of women, right? Just in general. Like, I hate to say it, but let's just observe it, right? I'm criticizing it, but what it means is like, why are young girls associated with dress up and with, whatever, like makeup and dress up and playing with dolls and stuff? It's an extension of what? It's an extension of the sexualization of women when they're older, as much as you might not want to acknowledge that, right? So you would say, right, like, why else are they associated with appearances so much, right? Because society is obsessed with that. So even if you think, oh, it's just innocent, they're playing with dolls and makeup and dress up and whatever, we're kind of grooming young girls to care about their appearance, whether to play into the privilege that they get because of it, whether because that's just how we look at, that's how society perceives women, right? It's kind of a sick thing because you're pigeonholing them, you're kind of limiting it, you're kind of looking at it in a contrived way, but also again, a lot of issues arise from that because, again, you have certain privilege, you have certain, you suspend critical thinking. So it's like, oh, the women expect a certain privilege because they're women, and then men expect a certain sexual favors in return. So it's kind of like this prostitution without acknowledging it. It's like, you expect something and you do both of these things, but you don't acknowledge it properly. And so it allows you to right, like, so if you take all that away and it's all direct, now all that female privilege goes out the window because you would say, that okay, sex is just sex. People can do it if they want. They don't have to if they don't want. Like, it's just a normal, natural thing. But instead, you're pretending like it's something more than what it is, and now you reduce it to something less than what it is, and you're kind of controlled by it and obsess over it, right? By kind of glorifying or condemning or controlling. So that's kind of what it does, is it gives this weird dynamic of, right, like, oh, men have to be the breadwinner and make a certain amount of money, and women have to rely on their looks, and, you know, you don't have to do that, but that's kind of the way things are treated and projected in a way that is telling about a contrived state. And then you also have what else could I explain? Like, it's just you're obsessed over it, you're kind of down bad for it, you kind of specify it, you're doing it more in service of that, like of the stimuli acme, or like the specification and being controlled by it, right? Because if you're in control of it and direct, then it's like very clear. You're doing this thing for this reason, right? You want sex, you want whatever, you kind of overextend it. Instead of being in control of it, you're controlled by it, because you basically decide to, you know, do it in such a way that right, you pretend, oh, it's not about that, then you slave away dependent on that. So why not just be direct about it? And it's because then you wouldn't be so controlled by it. You know, then it'd be free and variable and open. So why can't a person do that? Like, they genuinely want something specific that they want. Like, they're just into a certain fetish, or they're into, you know, they just sleep around, or whatever they do. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. So why should they, you know, in service of contrivance, why should they be subject to that? Why should they have to do that? Right? They're not stopping anybody else from doing that, but like, be open about it. Like, oh, I'm into open relationships only. I don't want to be tied down. Like, why can't that be genuinely what somebody does or wants, and be direct from the beginning, instead of the credibility of people who, oh no, it's love, it's absolute, it's meant to be, and then they have all this conflict? Wouldn't that indicate not that, oh, the problem is yourself and you got to resist temptation? Maybe it's the structure of what you're doing that's kind of forced and unnatural and just contrived. And so I don't know what happened with the thing. Like, it's because I'm trying to use like a GPS at the same time, and it fucks up. But yeah, that will kind of keep watching. But those are kind of the contradictions you have to see in society. Like, aren't you self-aware? Don't you understand the nature of the process? But it's almost like you have to not think about it to be able to do it. Because if you did think about it, then it's like, oh no, that's somehow a bad thing. But it's the same process at work, so it makes you kind of wonder. So like, you wouldn't be at peace with it, or you wouldn't do that if you thought about it. So the solution and the answer is, oh, just don't think about it. Like that's really the issue. But it's like closing your eyes, and that's why. You know, close your eyes and then you'll be fine with what you see. Rest you blame, you shoot the messenger, the observer, things like that. Let me maybe watching random videos on YouTube, I don't know. Why does it keep closing my shit out though? I hate this. Or now the orientation is wrong. Like let's just watch random things in my recommended. I've been watching, oddly enough, some Yu-Gi-Oh clips lately for some reason. Just, I can't remember why. Like, you watch one video and then it starts recommending stuff a ton. Or I'll be like that one dude, even though without the face cam, who reacts to music. Like, music teacher reacts to music. That's one psychological thing that you have to understand, actually, is like, people sometimes have too high of a standard, right? I call it like being paralyzed by perfection. It's like, the people who get credit in society, maybe you don't subscribe to it, and that's kind of the difference. You could be an elitist and whatever, but the standards that people subscribe to are so egotistical and myopic, and, you know, indignant insistence upon the self, or right? Like these mundane things. So random people get credit for unimpressive things arbitrarily. So your standard might be too high, but it's not that, oh, you failed to achieve that standard. It's that you have a different standard, a higher standard, and you reject that sort of cult of personality or other basis. But it'll be projected like, oh, you somehow lack that. Not that that basis is incredible. Oh, here's a good question. A poll by Clash. Is Luka the best teammate LeBron's ever had? I mean, it'd be hard to say that anybody's better than Dwayne Wade at that point. Like, Anthony Davis was very good on both ends of the floor. I can't really say that he's the best for sure. Like, maybe career-wise he might go down as the best. But, like, Wade has an interesting distinction that he led the 2011 finals in scoring. So, I think D. Wade would be, like, as of now, it's hard to measure that, because are you saying, like, he's going to go down as the best for his career, or he did the most for LeBron that he sacrificed and he helped him win, and, you know, he was the best, whatever, like... I don't even know what to react to. I just go through random videos, like in my history or something, but it's kind of like, you're trying to basically, let's look at this concept here. Basically the idea that you're able to, if you defer to other people and you respect their intelligence, and contrivance is unnatural and requires reinforcement through externality, so it tries to prey on others and prey on you, so you defer to it, and then it acts like that validates it, because it's insecure and not at peace and needs constant reinforcement and overcompensation through externality. But also beyond that, it's the simple fact that you're able to consider that, you know, if you value something too much, that's bad. If you don't value it, you know, it's a half-mast state. So, oh, you're inhibited on the basis of this supposed element of value, like functionalism, but then if you take it too far, oh, that's bad. So freedom is bad. Absolute, you know, form of the same thing is bad. So it's merely a pretense to control you in a half-mast state. If you truly value it, then you would invalidate the process. Remove the need, basically. But that's more important, right? That's how contrivance operates. It wants you to be dependent on it specifically in the name of some pretense of value. Yeah, like if you respect the intelligence of others and things like that, that's somehow a bad thing or an inability because something is projected onto you. But yeah, maybe I'll start doing more React stuff, but it's kind of hard to get this to actually work. I don't have to re-rent it because I've just not really been watching it enough, or even when I do, I watch very small amounts of it at a time. It's a good way of doing it though, because like imagine how many things I could watch just while driving, because I always do that anyway, like whatever. Yeah, like even the cult of personality basis extends to stuff like this, like oh, they want to see your facial reactions or something, or the stimuli acme would overextend to, like oh, they see a whatever, a conventionally attractive face or whatever that people associate with. I feel like a good example is Anna Kramling, not even to pick on her. In a way, I'll almost even praise her a little bit. Like she doesn't depend on that as much. Like she doesn't play into it or make videos necessarily about things related to the stimuli acme, like Tinder profile and stuff. Like Alex Botez will play me for my number for a date, right? That Botez does that more. So Anna Kramling doesn't do all that, but she still clearly benefits from it. Or like she posts kind of videos that are like very basic, like her just standing there and pointing at something, or her just like the Peyton Toubre thirst trap treatment, like pointing at a list of NFL teams or something. But no, it's like she will just make very basic videos, just like her standing there and smiling, or her pointing at something, or her just saying something, and she'll get a lot of views. And you can't tell me that that isn't, oh, she carefully prepares in the mirror and doing makeup for 4 hours before, or whatever, doing just the lighting right. And I'm not blaming you for doing that, but it's like, oh, those are all things you're benefiting from. Make the same video without face cam, or make the same video and you're just some random person, or, you know, whatever, appearance doesn't come into factor. So in a way, right, you're clearly benefiting from that, because otherwise you're looking at it like, you know, it's cult of personality basis, but that's even based on the stimuli acme too, right? So what you're looking at is a subversive state. There's no actual, like, try to explain it. right? Why do you value this thing? Why does this thing get so many views, or whatever? And there is actually no reason, so you won't want to acknowledge the stimuli acme, or that's the only explanation you can give. Or so it's not even a basher, but it's like, on one hand, you kind of know what you're doing, or whatever. You could argue like, oh, that's unfair because, you're not doing anything super revealing or whatever. You're just like, oh, your face. You're just showing your face, and people are so down bad that that's enough to whatever. But to say that's not an element, this is where it gets overextended, is like, I don't know, it just kind of corrupts everything. Which again is the repression leads to obsession. People are hedonist and nudist colony and orgies and free and at peace in nature. Now those things wouldn't apply as much, right? You're having orgies every day. Why would you care about some random person's face on the internet? So you're in a subversive state where you're controlled by something at half-mast. Like something you can't explain really the value of. And you might project and say, oh, that's like you're jealous or something. But why not be jealous of Magnus? Like, oh, he's really good at, he's the best chess player, or Hikaru or something like that. Why would I be jealous of somebody who's like 2,000 FIDE, which theoretically you would think, okay, I wouldn't say that anybody could be a grandmaster, but anybody can be 2,000 FIDE. Right, that shouldn't even be, if you put in time and effort and study. But what happens is, I don't know, it's just kind of, you're being valued for something that's not really based in merit or verifiable or anything. And so, but I think I made some misplays that you could argue unfortunately dictated, maybe Renounced Darkness ends up winning in a way that it's kind of unexpected, and you switch to the decks. Like, this is why it's good sometimes to do content on stuff like this. It's just like, epic things will happen on their own. That's some of the best form of, like, whatever, gaming content or otherwise. Something epic will happen on its own, especially in modern gaming with, like, open world stuff and dynamic stuff. You're just kind of playing, you're not trying to do anything. You're genuinely just playing the game, and then interesting stuff will happen on its own. Will kind of be like, oh, I'm glad I'm recording, or you would have never believed it. Like, that one clip is kind of like that, where I'm doing arc and I throw a spear up at like a bird and it looks like it's gonna totally miss, and then it somehow hits it at some weird angle, like a trick shot, and it's like, that is just something that happens organically. And it was like my first try basically doing that, at that time at least. But yeah, I was gonna try to react to stuff, but I gotta figure out how this works. Like, okay, if I do it now, it should work like this. I don't know why it didn't before. Or like the orientation will mess it up. I would sometimes watch those trials, Jody Arias trials. Speaking of Hearthstone, I'm gonna play my gaming dice while reacting to the Jody Arias trial. The case that caused both lawyers to get disbarred and broke their minds, and in a way won kind of this Yu-Gi-Oh YouTuber hates me. Like, I don't know what any of the context of this was. Yeah, like, let's talk about like the current state of Yu-Gi-Oh for whatever reason, like all the power creep and stuff. It's like things that nobody asked for that you'll go along with, and I can respect that. Like, there's obviously a lot of support. There's a lot of, you want to keep up with the new cards. I get it, but it's like, it's just nobody ever said this. Like, I wish turn 1 lasted 5 minutes. like in early Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever years past, I wish the first turn lasted 5 minutes, and I wish we had like 50 different things that we summoned. Wouldn't it be cool if I summoned a 10,000 monster on turn 1 and all these effects and crazy stuff? Like, wouldn't it be cool if I just did that, right? And go through half my deck and go through, all these hand traps and stuff. Nobody was asking for that. Nobody said that, right? So you're going along with it, but that wasn't what anybody wanted necessarily. It's sort of like a power creep way to try to extend the game and force you to buy new cards. Like, there's always an incentive like that, but you understand that right, like the basic, easiest way I can explain it is like the philosophy of earning something. You start the game, right, in old school card games, or just a general sense, and there's like an inherent mid-range quality to them, especially early on, right, where like there won't be as much control or it won't be as overextended. So what happens is, you start turn 1 Yu-Gi-Oh! And you summon a 4-star monster, and then you put a card face down and you end your turn, and then your opponent does something similar, and then whoever wins that initial battle and trade and all this, now if you get that monster to stick, now you contributed and you can summon Skull and stuff like that. So what you're showing is that you're at least having to earn something. Like, you get something out there, you build up your army, you let it survive, now you have something to build on, you sacrifice. As a good example of trying to have something to build on and work towards in the course of a game, right? Whereas what you get now is like, you're not earning anything. You're almost like, I paid Konami, I paid, I bought packs, bought modern cards, power creep cards, and so now I'm getting rewarded for my deck by having all the stuff that I can just play immediately on turn 1, out of my hand, out of my deck, hand trap, like, so without needing anything interactive on the board or my opponent having anything to really do with it. I can just do these things. You don't have to work towards it. It's happening too soon, right? So that kind of goes against that fundamental concept of, just, you got to build something up. You got to work towards it in the course of the game. You get on one monster, then they trade into it. Then you get on another, then it sticks. Then you tribute it. Then they use a removal. Then you're constantly trying to get something to remain and have longevity, and if you do, then you get rewarded by effects or by tributes and by or that's one little fun fact I guess I learned recently, which I almost don't believe, like, the strongest normal monster is still Blue Eyes White Dragon, 3,000 attack. There's no, I guess because they probably just don't make normal monsters anymore, because kind of like, what's the point? You could make an infinite number and it doesn't, the only difference I guess is just maybe the name, if it fits into an archetype, or maybe the element or something. But like, they've never surpassed Blue Eyes with the 3,000 normal, which is hard to believe, honestly. Or like Blackluster Soldier was supposed to match that. But isn't that weird? Like, Blackluster Soldier and Blue Eyes, I don't think they ever fight in the, maybe I don't remember, but I don't think they ever fight or trade in the course of the series, even though that's shown as like one of Yugi's signature monsters, but technically stronger than Dark Magician. In fact, they even fuse together. So Blackluster Soldier and Blue Eyes, I don't think they fight in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! They just kind of exist together, get fused, and that's one of those almost laughable summons. Like, you got a 4,500 monster and you fuse it with a 3,000 monster and you get a 5,000 attack. Like, it's cute, but I mean, you'd rather just keep them separate at that point if they're both on the field, like against darts or whatever. But that's kind of a pathetic summon, despite the effect, which isn't even arguably that good. But yeah, if you think about that, like, again, you build something up, you kind of work towards it. That's kind of the mid-range style that we get into, and it allows you to basically, see things in action a little bit, like, and I know people would say that, like, oh, you just don't get it, or you're just like, oh, it's too complicated for you. That may not even be the point of it, like, you know, because it doesn't matter. Like, you can still enjoy it or whatever, but it just is a philosophical thing. Like, when you're starting it's the timing of the game. Like, that can happen later in the game. That could be like a turn 15 play or something where you get to do this combo and crazy stuff and play out of your deck. But it's more like something you have to work towards instead of, oh, you just... And you might think, like, okay, in old school Yu-Gi-Oh, that can happen. Like, you could just draw an Exodia on your first turn or draw, like, some of these crazy things. But it's not like, oh, you happen to have a great hand. It's more just like, no matter what hand you have, you get to cycle through, like, half your deck or a lot of your deck. And, like, there's too many of those guaranteed type effects in cycling where it's not really... Right, because then it won't matter. Like, oh, it doesn't matter what starts in your hand. It doesn't matter what's on your board because, oh, you get something from extra deck or just from your deck, archetype, keyword, this and that. So it ends up not really mattering what you do. And the reason why is because, right, you just get it no matter what. That's what it trivializes. Like, I'm not saying everything has to happen on the board, but that should be... At least that's where it should start, I guess, is the philosophy of what I'm talking about. It should start on the board, and then if you get good things, you get effects from that. But you can say, oh, I'm somebody who likes mid-range style or whatever, but it doesn't even have to be like that. It can just be, you know, that's the essence of the game, that, like, you don't want it to be over too fast, but that can be an element, obviously, with aggro decks. You don't want it to be too slow because that's, you know, those things can happen, but the mid-range is like, okay, you get to actually enjoy what you're doing a little bit. I guess control, you arguably get to enjoy it even more. Like, you know, you get like a strong monster out there. I'm like Kaiba in that way. Oh, you know, you get a strong monster out and then you decide to, you know, you want to really flex it and show it off and whatever. Instead of, oh, it'll just removal and then it's just gone. That's why I like, you know, hexproof so much, or why I like, but that's the weird thing. I do have that minimalistic ideation. You can always make like better decks. You can always like do certain things, but there's something simple like that Lord Thamar elusive thing. It's so simple, but it's kind of like, and even that's arguably too strong, but it's kind of to the point because you get the idea that right, you have like a 7-mana 14/14 with elusive. Like, even by today's power creeped out standards, that's pretty good. That's pretty hard to deal with, and especially if you're going against removal turn after turn after turn, right, it'll be like, you know, just very hard for even meta decks at any point to deal with. And so